Hello, everyone. Chase here with a severe weather update for everybody. We've got a couple of warnings here in effect, and the reason why I'm getting on here is because the warnings have started to get a little crazy here in the last couple of minutes as far as the quick issuance of them here. So let's go through these. Right now, we have two active severe thunderstorm warnings here in effect for parts of Bradley County and Polk County until 9 o'clock, and another recent one that has been issued for Catoosa and Whitfield counties until 8:45. And both of these have the same potential for the heavy downpours, the frequent lightning, and the main thing here with these two severe storms are the potential for 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And the one around Ringgold has had a history of having a little bit of weak rotation aloft. There hasn't been any reports of any kind of damage or anything like that, but that storm down there that you see on the east side of Ringgold does have a bit of a history of some rotation. But at the moment, even though that severe thunderstorm warning does have that tag of a tornado possible down in Catoosa County into Whitfield County, at the moment the velocity scope on here is not showing any kind of real impressive rotation. I do like the call though, just out of precaution, because sometimes what can happen is, especially because since there's a little bit of shear aloft today, it may not take a whole lot for a little bit of rotation, at least aloft, to get started. But at least so far, nothing that has really reached the surface. The main thing here are going to be those damaging wind gusts. And actually, the more impressive wind signature right now is in this thunderstorm here that's moving into the south side of Cleveland, into the city of Cleveland, I should say. This one is showing on radar winds of upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour. So that right there can do enough to knock out power. So if you are in the Cleveland area, make sure you are away from windows, outside walls. You don't have to take tornado precautions, but you definitely need to be away from windows and indoors. Lightning's another major threat with this as well, with all these storms. Now, I do want to give a heads up for those of you out towards Ocoee, Old Fort, towards the Ocoee River, Benton Springs, Benton area, and out towards Delano, Reliance, out in Polk County. This is heading east in your direction, so this will be in your neighborhood here, and I'll actually put a track on it here to kind of give you some estimated times of arrival out that way. And it's moving east at about 30 miles an hour, so this will be in the Ocoee area, first of all in Cleveland right now, but in the Ocoee area around 8:39 Eastern, Benton area about 8:48, Delano by about 9 o'clock, and then around 9 o'clock also in the Reliance area. So that's for this severe storm. And then down here to the south, across eastern Catoosa and into portions of Whitfield County. Again, this is also heading towards Varnell. So in Varnell, this will be in your area around 8:30. Again, you're maybe seeing tornado warnings over here to the right, but that's all to the north of us right now. So just don't get freaked out if you see that on the track. But we don't have any tornado warnings locally, though. So Cohutta, this storm is over you right now, and in Varnell, it'll be in your neighborhood here within about the next 5 to 10 minutes. Now, Dalton, you're getting a pretty strong thunderstorm at the moment, but this has not been classified as severe. But again, just so you know, there is that possibility that you could have some strong wind gusts, some very torrential rain, and perhaps some pea-sized hail as well as lightning. And then also Jackson County into northeast Alabama here, DeKalb County, Alabama, some strong storms in here. Bridgeport, Bryant, Higdon, y'all are getting it again. Some more heavy thunderstorms. You got another one to the south and west moving in. At the moment, these Jackson County storms are not showing signs of being severe, but based on the velocity signature here, we see this bright red and then the bright green totally opposite here. That indicates strong wind potential. So no warning technically in effect out in here for Sand Mountain or northeast Alabama, but be aware that you'll have some strong storms. And a heads up also to Dade and Walker counties. You've already had thunderstorms earlier, including this severe one that's east of Ringgold now, but you're going to have more here within the next half hour to an hour or so at least. Now, I do want to point out, yes, there is an end in sight to all of this. Believe it or not, the cold front responsible for all this is all the way back here, but it's not too far away. It's crossing over I-65 right now in Middle Tennessee. And notice out ahead of it, we're starting to get some more thunderstorms here. They're starting to pop up in advance of that, and that's to be expected here over the next few hours. Now, so far, the structure in these have not been very impressive out here in Franklin County, Coffee, or Cannon, but again, they're going to be producing some heavy rain, a little bit of lightning as those move off to the east. I'm not as concerned with severe weather, at least right now, with this last wave as opposed to these moving east of Chattanooga here into the south. But again, it's definitely something worth noting here over the next few hours that we still have this risk for thunderstorms. Now, that blue polygon you just saw flashing on the screen there in Jackson County, that is a special weather statement. Again, the blue polygons you see on this map are the special weather statements. These orange polygons you see on the map, those are the severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect for parts of Bradley County and western Polk County. I know it technically includes a part of McMinn County and eastern Hamilton, but the worst of it's not going to affect you guys up here in McMinn or in Hamilton. This is moving away from Hamilton, and this is staying south of McMinn County. So this is mostly a Bradley County and a Polk County issue. Down here to the south, Ringgold, you're out of the woods from this severe storm, so you're clear from this one storm. But you got more on the way coming in from northeast Alabama. So just a heads up there, within the next hour or two, you'll probably get more thunderstorms there. But this severe storm, this one severe storm, is now crossing the Catoosa County line into Whitfield County, north of Tunnel Hill, and right in the vicinities of Varnell and Cohutta here. So this is going to be crossing over a Cleveland highway here between Dalton and Cleveland here within a matter of really seconds. So that's going to be moving from west to east. And speaking of Dalton, you got this heavy thunderstorm over you now that's getting ready to cross the river here and into Murray County. So heads up around Eaton and Chatsworth. This is all heading in your direction there within the next 10-20 minutes or so. And again, got another strong storm to note of out here across Marshall County, Alabama, moving up into western DeKalb County, Alabama. Again, this is producing some heavy rain and strong winds, so heads up around Geraldine, up the highway to Fife and Rainsville here. This is all moving to the east, and it might catch Fort Payne if that holds together here within the next half hour, but that remains to be seen, at least on the exact timing. And then also Winchester area, you got some downpours in your area, but nothing severe, and then just some heavy-duty thunderstorms up in here across western Coffee into Cannon and even parts of DeKalb counties in Middle Tennessee. So again, let's check on this one here real quick. This recent radar scan. Winds have actually been ramping up here just a little bit with these storms across moving up Sand Mountain here. So heads up here from really Pisgah, Eider, and it points north here on the mountain, up 71 here to Bryant and Higdon. More heavy rain and thunderstorms moving in with that potential, for course, for those strong wind gusts and the possibility of those heavy downpours and lightning likelihoods, I really should say. But the winds are starting to brighten up in here, so that means, when I say brighten up, that means the wind fields are starting to strengthen in them. So we may end up needing more severe thunderstorm warnings here down the road if that trend continues. But at the moment, though, the only two warnings that we're working at the moment as far as severe thunderstorm warnings are concerned are these two you see on the map that are in orange. The one that's moving over Cleveland right now, moving east, heading right down 64-74 into Polk County towards Ocoee and Benton. And then you got this severe storm that seems to be on a weakening trend, I've noticed, over the last little bit. That's passing east of Ringgold around Catoosa Springs, moving east across the county line and into northern parts of Whitfield County. So this one will not affect Dalton. This will stay north, but you got a heavy thunderstorm there already. But this one will pass to your north and stay up here, and eventually, if that holds together, may make it up towards Cisco and other areas like Cohutta, the Cohutta Wildlife Management area here of northern Murray County here down the road. Again, nothing going on in the city of Chattanooga right now, really, outside of New Hope and parts of South Pitt. Nothing much going on in Marion either. You're probably hearing some of the thunder from that storm around New Hope and points south. But again, nothing to focus up in here right now. Same thing with Grundy County, Squatchy, Bledsoe, Ray Meggs, McMinn, Van Buren. Now, I do want to note, though, up in here, around McMinnville and points east, and around Manchester also in points east, you do have some more thunderstorms with that cold front, just ahead of that cool front there, that are going to be moving in here within the next half hour. So make sure you're ready for that. But at least as far as severe weather is concerned, I'm not seeing that at the moment. Again, really, for the most part, the way I'm seeing it right now, if there's going to be any kind of risk of severe weather here, at least in the near term, it's going to be somewhere in this zone, probably right here. So think of this corridor basically from about I-75, US 72, and points east here. So you can pretty much draw a line on where that is right on the map here. So something like this is what I'm seeing. So southeast of that little line right there, that's going to be this area that has the more likelihood of experiencing the strongest to possibly severe thunderstorms here within the next few hours, as this all moves off to the east and northeast here. But again, the line back here to the west, thankfully, is very broken, very weak at this point. But at the moment, at least, as I said, it's not severe, at least at this time. And you could still get some heavy downpours with that. Again, just got a new update here, so let's investigate these 2 severe storms here real quick, and we'll go back to the ones in Jackson here in just a moment. Again, this is still a fairly hefty wind signature here moving across the city of Cleveland. It does appear that it's come down just a little bit in intensity, but again, at least there's still enough evidence to keep this warning going, at least temporarily. Again, it expires at 9 o'clock, so we're just going to play it safe here as it heads off to the east across Highway 60, down 64 and 74, and in towards the Ocoee area. So really from downtown Cleveland points east and south down to Old Fort, Ball Play, up to the Ocoee area, up to Benton, and even up towards Delano and Reliance. This is all heading in your direction. So, you technically don't have warnings out in here yet towards Etowah or Delano or Reliance. Just be aware that you got this strong to severe storm heading in your direction. And for the moment, it does appear that the worst of this is going to miss. You'll probably get some heavy rain storms out here towards Ducktown, Copper Hill, and up to Turtletown, but at least you do have that potential for some heavy rain and gusty wind. But at the moment, the worst of at least the severe stuff should kind of split you here. To the north or south. But again, that could change. So watch for updates on that. Again, there's the heavy storm crossing from Dalton east into Murray County from Whitfield County. So Chatsworth and Eton, that storm is almost on top of you. And then here are the other thunderstorms here across northeast Alabama. This is the latest update on these. Again, this is a really heavy one here moving up Highway 72 towards the Stevenson area as well as Flat Rock. So from Pisgah up through Rosalie to Eider, Flat Rock, Higdon, Bryant. You've already had some thunderstorms earlier, but you got another one moving in now. And in Dade County, from Trenton up through Wildwood, Coal City, New Home area, east to Wildwood, Lookout, into northern Walker County. Another strong thunderstorm that has the potential, again, of producing some strong winds, some very heavy rain, frequent lightning, moving east into your areas here. It looks like they put out a new advisory on that as well, it appears. And now that's for an earlier storm. But either way, you got another strong storm moving into that area, again, with that potential for wind, rain, and lightning. And speaking of wind here, not really too impressive, but probably still at least showing some 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts in here across southern Marion County here from about South Pitt east down 156 there through New Hope and across the lake and the river here, moving up towards Haletown. So Whiteside, Haletown, this is heading in your direction, as well as Lads, Etna Mountain. And then if that holds together, that could head towards Lookout Valley in downtown Chattanooga here within the next 20 to 30 minutes roughly. But again, that's for this storm, and then this storm could also end up affecting parts of Chickamauga, Fordo, and Rossville here, as well as Flintstone, also within the next 30 minutes. So you've already had one wave, you got another heading your way. Again, they're basically following the same track here. Most of these storms are following the same track. They're going through the same areas that have been already having storms earlier. So that tells me that there's probably a boundary out in here somewhere, probably some kind of leftover boundary out in here that these thunderstorms to the west that are riding along and allowing them to stay strong. So that's something to make note of there. And it does look like that storm that looked like it was going to stay mostly in Jackson and Dade is now continuing to push a little more northeast into southern Marion County. So it does appear that it will probably reach Jasper and areas around Griffith Highway, points east to Bennett Lake, and those areas as well. So just want to make note there again. It's not a severe storm, but it's a strong thunderstorm with some heavy rain, lightning, and gusty wind. Again, the wind signature with this southernmost storm, moving up atop Sand here from Stevenson. Again, it's starting to strengthen a little bit as you see with that bow. Again, heavy rain, a lot of lightning, strong gusty wind in that. Good news is that this severe thunderstorm warning for Bradley and Polk has been canceled. So some great news there. So if you are in Bradley and Polk counties, that severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you why here, because The wind mode on that has really decreased. So on that severe storm in Cleveland, that was severe in Cleveland, it's now a strong storm. At least the wind fields have weakened to a point to where it's no longer needed for a severe thunderstorm warning. So you guys are good in Bradley County and Polk. I mean, you got a very heavy thunderstorm, and it's surely going to be electrical with all that lightning, but so make sure you're indoors. But as far as a severe threat's concerned, from this one storm, it's went away from this one storm, at least at this time. Again, if that re-intensifies, I will most certainly let you know of that. Now down here to the south, we still got this one warning left. We're down to this one that's moving out of Catoosa County now. So in Catoosa County, you're clear from this. So Ringgold, you're good from this, but you got more storms coming in from the west. So stay alert there around Ringgold. But around Varnell and Cohutta here along Highway 71, Highway 2, and then up on the Tennessee side there, Highway 60, up towards Cleveland, and some heavy rainstorms up here that had the warning earlier, but that's since been canceled. But the one that's been warned on is this one that's moving across northern Whitfield County, passing north of the city of Dalton by a good 20 minutes or so, and spreading east from there, and it's going to head out into northern Murray County here very shortly. So heading out towards Beaverdale, Prater Mill, Plainview, Rulevale, and also in towards Sumac, Crandall, and also Cisco out here in Tinga there as well from west to east. So heads up in those areas. Even though that this storm to the south has weakened a good bit, and really, to be honest, not really seeing much rotation or anything like that. The wind modes have also decreased in this. So it would not surprise me here that this warning may also get canceled here fairly shortly, because there's just not much showing up there, at least on the wind side of things, that like it was earlier. Now, when the storm was out around Ringgold earlier this evening, you can kind of see how it quickly, and again, this was earlier, I'm showing this time lapse. You can see when the warning was first issued earlier, about an hour ago, you can see how that storm intensified, and then another storm came up, merged with it, and it re-intensified again, cycled back up, but now it's in a weakening state. And here's the current image. As you see how quickly it has weakened as it moves off to the east. But I will say there's another potential interaction coming here with this storm that's passed through Dalton here, so we'll have to see if this ends up being an issue for the northern half of Murray County here, basically north of Chatsworth. So we'll have to watch that carefully here within the next half hour to see what that does. Again, that's the one warning we got left, and that one expires in about 10 minutes, mostly for northern Whitfield County. So we can pretty much take Catoosa out of this because the worst of it's out of there. But again, northern Whitfield around Varnell, Cohutta, down to Prater Mill and Beaverdale. Just make sure you're in a good, safe place inside, away from windows, the basic, thunderstorm precautions, basically. Again, right now, things, we got a little downpour in Somerville, but nothing big there. But really, Lafayette, Calhoun, right now things are looking good for you guys. But again, you got more thunderstorms on the way within the hour. Got some, and we'll check out some of these as well. This is starting to cluster up a little bit up in here. Not severe, but from New Union and Summitville there in Coffee County up through about Centertown up to Smithville. Some heavy duty rain and some thunderstorms. Moving from west to east. Let's check and see what the wind mode looks like on these. Not impressive, thankfully. Very weak looking, so that's good. Mostly heavy rain and thunderstorm producers, and this is with the main. This is just ahead of the main cool front that's back out towards I-65. So once that clears, that's pretty much it for the storm. So for example, Woodbury's done. Auburntown's done. Liberty's done, and it's almost, even though there's a little downpour about to move into Manchester, but I would say Tullahoma's pretty much done, and Manchester's about done as well as Timms Ford Lake. So you guys back out here to the far west here in our western areas are pretty much done with the severe threat, and not only that, but really from the storm threat, because that front is slowly pushing that stuff off to the east. Again, checking on this one in southern Marion County. This is quite a heavy storm here, non-severe, but areas right along Nickajack Lake, moving right up the river there, right over Haletown, Lads, and the Whiteside. Edna Mountain moving towards Prentice Cooper, Mineral Springs there, up Griffith Highway towards areas like Kettner's Mill and then to the west in the Jasper area and up Valley View towards Little Squatchy. You got this strong thunderstorm here passing through these areas. This one's cleared out of South Pitt, so the heaviest rain's moving out of South Pitt now, as well as New Hope. But this is moving back towards Hamilton County. So after this gets through the Jasper area, as well as Haletown and the lake and also Nickajack Lake here, this is going to go right into parts of Hamilton County here around downtown Chattanooga and potentially up towards Red Bank, Signal, and up into Hickson probably as well down the road. And then here's the other one. Here's the extension of that, I should say, that goes all the way down into Dade County. So right around Coal City, New Home area, down through the Davis community there along 301 west of Trenton on the mountain, extending down into Higdon there in Jackson County. This is all moving off to the east. Again, these are not severe, but these are some heavy thunderstorms that are going to be moving into the valley here shortly. So heads up around Trenton. It's about to pour here momentarily again. And that extends all the way up through Wildwood and east to Lookout as well. So that will also move back into northern Walker County. And here is the other strong storm across Jackson County here from Stevenson. So this one's going to probably clip Bridgeport again. So I shouldn't say clip, but actually potentially hit Bridgeport again. At least this heavy storm will. From there and point south all the way to down 117 and into the Flat Rock area east to Higdon. So it's already storming in Higdon, but you're about to get another one here, and this one's going to be pretty strong here as it moves from southwest to northeast. Again, it's not a severe storm here, but the wind modes have been fairly consistent with this. So that bow structure you see right here, and I'll highlight this, when you see a bow structure like that, that's an indication of those strong wind gusts that could be upwards of 40, possibly 50 miles an hour as that heads towards Dade County again here eventually down the road after it gets through Sand here. And we got another one here to the south and west. Here is DeKalb County, Alabama. So Geraldine, Fife, up towards the section area of Jackson County, moving northeast. So Rainsville, Sylvania, Powell, section Dutton, down towards Fort Payne, Pine Ridge, heading in this is all heading in your direction. Also Collinsville, heavy storms heading your way, and then eventually that's going to be heading up towards Valley Head, Mentone, and Hammondville, also within the next hour or so. And want to see if we got anything else here. Got a couple of downpours here. One over Deckard. Some of these areas actually hadn't had rain today, so Deckard's actually getting the first raindrops here, at least of the afternoon and evening here right now. Pretty good downpour there. Got another downpour between Swanee and Rourke's Cove, moving into Mott Eagle here. These are not severe, but given that this is just ahead of the cold front here, I'd point these out. Another heavy downpour in the Huntland area too. And then we got this line here that extends from about Summitville up through Centertown, approaching Morrison and McMinnville as well as Viola. And that'll also head towards Rock Island here within the next half hour, and also towards Center Hill Lake and towards Sparta and Spencer within the hour as well. So you will be getting these thunderstorms up there in parts of the upper Cumberland here within the next half hour. Again, Athens, not forgetting about you guys over here. You got a heavy thunderstorm moving in from Riceville here within the next 10 minutes or so. That'll also head out towards Englewood and also Etowah as well as Nyota. So this will cover a pretty good chunk of McMinn County. It's not severe, but this is just some new downpour development that's formed here. That's heading up Highway 11 and also I-75 from there. The storm that was severe earlier in Bradley County is simply now just a strong storm. Warning canceled. It's now moving out of the city of Cleveland and moving right along 64 and 74 there into Ocoee, up to Tasso, and eventually east into the Benton area. So this will be in Benton and Ocoee here within a matter of minutes. So the rain's probably already starting to pick up in those areas, but it's about to get heavier here the next little bit. Then after that, this will be heading towards Benton Springs, the lake out in here, Big Frog Mountain, Conasauga, Ball Play, Old Fort, up to Reliance and Delano. And the northern end of this might catch Etowah here. So you're probably getting some light to moderate rain in Charleston and Calhoun, Tennessee, but heading up towards Claxton. But again, this storm is non-severe though. Still technically have this warning in effect with that tornado possible tag for about another 3 or 4 minutes here for northern Whitfield County. But to be real here, I don't really see a concern of any kind of rotation or a severe storm at this point. I mean, this storm has really come down in intensity quite a bit. So I think it's safe to say that this warning is probably not going to get extended into northern Murray County. But it's going to be a heavy storm nonetheless, though, for Cohutta and points east into northern Murray County there around Eton and Crandall and up towards Tinga, as well as areas around Cisco and Sumac there in northern Murray County. So heads up in those areas. Looks like another downpour is formed west of Ringgold, moving east towards the city. So heads up at Ringgold. As I said, you got more storms heading your way here within the next little bit. And there's that warning update, so that should be confirmation that it will not be extended, and yes, it is. So the storm which prompted the warning has weakened below severe limits and no longer poses an imminent threat to life or property. Therefore, the warning will be allowed to expire. However, gusty winds and heavy rain will still be possible with this storm. So that's good news for those of you in Whitfield County. That warning will expire in exactly 2 minutes, and it will not be extended. So no extension on that one. Let's check out this one signature here I'm seeing southeast of Stevenson, because you're seeing looks like a little bit of a hooking there. Let's make sure that's not anything big. And thankfully, nah, there is a little bit of broad rotation here. It's nothing too concerning, so I don't want to freak anybody out. But I do want to point out this one here does have a little bit of broad rotation here. East-southeast of Stevenson, moving up towards the Higdon area. So heads up around Higdon and possibly even Trenton here. We'll see what this does here. So I'm going to hang on with this just out of precaution here, just to make sure this doesn't do another one of those surprise Sand Mountain Magic situations here. We just want to make sure. Right now it's very broad and really not enough to be a major issue, at least at the moment, but I'm going to watch it here for at least a few minutes and wait a scan or two here just to see what it does. But at the moment, though, this storm does have more of a strong wind signature, again, 40 to 50 miles an hour. And where you see it bowing out right there along that leading edge, that's where those strongest winds will be. And that'll be a west to east wind, so that will push right through areas north of Ider and up towards the Higdon area, as well as Shiloh, north of Sulphur Springs, and eventually into parts of Dade County from Trenton south towards Rising Fawn. That's the direction it's heading in. So we got a new radar scan, and still has that little curvature look to it. So I'll wait a minute here to see what the velocity shows here in just a minute. But let me check on these other storms real quick while I'm waiting on that velocity update. Down here around Dutton and section south, and Rainsville here, some heavy rain, some thunderstorms in here. Non-severe, but they're pretty gusty. Fife, same thing. You're on the backside of it, though, now. And from Geraldine down to Crossville, Alabama, some heavy storms there moving towards Collinsville and Fort Payne. So just so I'm not forgetting anybody down in those areas. Again, that severe thunderstorm warning is pretty much bye-bye up in Whitfield County, so that one's going away. But here's another strong storm that's formed right around Trine and Somerville, moving to the east there in Chattooga County. So we'll see what that does, but at the moment, a non-severe storm. So let's get back up here and check velocities. And yeah, this is really becoming more of a straight line wind situation. I can tell here. You can kind of see here on this map. You can see where the wind is punching out. So when you got that wind like that that's punching out like that, that's a very strong indication of a strong straight line wind along the leading edge of this line. Now, at the moment, the gusts on this are non-severe. We're showing about 40 to 50 in here, moving up Highway 71 here in the Higdon area and heading out towards extreme northern DeKalb County here in Alabama, and eventually towards I-59 and areas between Rising Fawn and Trenton there in Dade County. So be prepared for some strong wind gusts in this area. Again, that could be 40 to 50 miles an hour. Rotation-wise, I know we're still seeing that little indentation right here where you see that little bit of a hook there. But when I look at storm relative, it's very broad. I mean, you can see right here, the colors are still very separated from one another. So as long as they stay separate and not over each other here, then that's a sign that this thing should stay away from being anything really tornadic. But what I will show you here is just how this has evolved And you can see here just how that big punch of wind here in red really overtakes this. So you can just see there it's that west to east wind. So in other words, this could probably knock down some tree limbs, perhaps some minor trees in here along 71 and points east there on sand. So just a heads up here as that gets ready to move into parts of Dade and Walker counties here momentarily. Again, let's check on this other storm real quick. Also up in Marion County. Again, this one's come down a little bit in intensity, but it's a pretty good thunderstorm from about Griffith Highway and the airport here points east, right up across the river into the River Gorge, down across Etna Mountain and into Whiteside up to Haletown and Lads. And that will be into the downtown Chattanooga area here within the next 20 minutes or so, and then eventually that'll also impact Signal Mountain, possibly Red Bank, Hickson, Walden. Some heavy thunderstorms heading into your area. Again, here's the downpours that just passed through Deckard and Suwannee, moving up towards the Alto community there in northeastern Franklin County. Here's the other one that's moving into the Mont Eagle area. And then here's the line, the broken line, I should say, that's just ahead of the main cool front here. That's moving from Summitville up through Morrison now, approaching the west side of McMinnville. So get ready, McMinnville, it's about to pour again. Up through Centertown, DeBrell, Smithville, especially east side up towards Center Hill Lake. That's all moving off to the east. So this will move into Van Buren County and White County here within the next 30 minutes to an hour. So Rock Island heads up, downtown McMinnville heads up, Irving College, Spencer Sparta, all heads ups for you. Again, non-severe, no warnings with this, but again, those are going to be some heavy thunderstorms as those move from west to east. And you can kind of see the line is very broken in here, and you can see the big gap there is like right in the middle here across most of Coffee County into Franklin. But notice it's starting to fill in a little bit more down here on the Alabama side from Madison County down into the Decatur, Alabama area. Again, that's all moving off to the east as well. So again, what you see back here is the sign of the cold front. So about right there where I drew that line is the approximate location of that front. It's not moving very fast. It's moving fairly slowly, but it will. Confidence is very good in this sweeping through here later tonight and effectively ending any sort of severe weather threat here once this, and really any stormage threat here, once this passes through. So once this gets through your location, you're pretty much done. So, for example, if you're watching, let's say from Lynchburg, you're done. Tullahoma, you're done. Winchester, you're getting pretty close, but I would pretty much venture to say, as far as real stormage is concerned, you're pretty much done too. Manchester, you're good. Hillsboro, y'all are good. Cannon County, Woodbury, you're out of the woods now. Smithville, you're pretty much out of it now. The worst is now to your east. So, and we also got another severe storm up towards Livingston, but that's staying away from us. As I said, though, once this last line comes through here, and again, it may not affect everybody. Some of you may not even get a drop out of rain out of this last line, but once this last little broken line gets through here, that'll be it. Behind this, dry air overnight, and then Sunday looks better than today. We may have a spotty rain shower or two, but nothing really too crazy for Sunday, so that'll be good. But still got a few hours of this, though, in the areas that are not all clear yet, which would be most of us. But, oh man, look at this. Looks like we got the wind is really intensified here on sand. So I think this one's getting pretty close to the level of a severe thunderstorm warning here. And it's the strongest storm we have on the board now. So I'm going to pay a little extra attention to this because this is actually intensified a good bit here as it's crossing from Jackson County into Dade County, and just as I say that, there's the severe thunderstorm warning. So right as I say that, as it's strengthening, so let's get you that information, and I'm sure this will get extended into Dade and Walker here pretty soon, I'd imagine. At 7:50, again, the National Weather Service in Huntsville's issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Jackson County and northeast Alabama and northeastern DeKalb County and northeast Alabama until 8:15. At 7:50, a severe thunderstorm was located 7 miles west of Trenton, moving northeast at 25 miles an hour. Hazard is a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust. It is radar indicated. Locations in the path of that include Eider and Higdon. I know technically it says Bridgeport, but Bridgeport, this is staying to your south. You don't have to worry about it. And really, I know it's storming in Bryant, I can tell on radar, but the worst of this will also stay just to your south. So this is really going to be a Higdon, Shiloh, and into Trenton deal. So, as I said, heads up Dade, heads up Walker. This is all heading in your direction. There's no tornado possible tag on this. In fact, I've not seen any real evidence of any rotation, at least right now. What I'm seeing more of is this very strong area of wind. You see right here on this map where you see the pink and the purple and all that on here, which indicates that stronger wind. And the reason why this severe thunderstorm warning was just issued for this area of Sand Mountain is because that wind is ramped up. So we're seeing some 50 to 60 in here where you see that pink. And you don't like, and pink on anything weather related really is not really a good thing. So that's just an indication right here that there is the possibility of some damaging wind here as that crosses over the Alabama-Georgia state line towards the I-59 corridor. So if you happen to know somebody that's driving along Interstate 59 here, south of the split down to the DeKalb County, Alabama line, really through much of Dade County, you might want to tell them to pull off or, if possible, or stop at one of the exits down there around Trenton and just pull off and wait this out until this passes, because that's going to be a rough storm right there. And I want to point out, this is the only severe storm we have in the entire area right now. So all the other thunderstorms that are out there are non-severe. This one in particular is severe, so this is going to get the most attention here because it's an impactful one. So again, there's not been a warning declared yet by the Weather Service out of Atlanta here for aka Peachtree City, but for Dade or Walker, but I'm sure that's coming soon. Again, one thing to note here is that our area here, my coverage area here in particular, there's 4 different NWS offices here. For example, Jackson, DeKalb are warned for by Huntsville's NWS office, while Northwest Georgia is warned by Peachtree City. And with that said, there's the severe thunderstorm warning. So that just came in just now. So let me get you that info real quick. This one is for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and this is for northwestern Walker County and all of Dade County until 9:30 Eastern. At 8:53 Eastern, a severe thunderstorm was located near Higdon or near Trenton. It's moving east at 30 miles an hour. Hazard is 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It is radar indicated. Locations in the path of this include Trenton, Chattanooga Valley, Flintstone, Stevensville, Rising Fawn, New England, Morganville, Cloudland Canyon, Cooper Heights, Wildwood, and Hooker. Those are the locations that are in the path of this severe storm that's moving out of Jackson and DeKalb County and into Dade and Walker County. So again, it's for this area of very strong wind that you see here on the map. It's moving right over the Shiloh community here, showing about 62 miles an hour, just under 2,000 feet off the ground. So it's a very strong thunderstorm with that potential for some damaging wind that could cause power outages in here. So make sure your devices and stuff are charged up out here across Dade County into Walker County here, because this is going to be a pretty rough storm. Now the warning, I'll tell you who the warning does not include right now. If you're in Lafayette, the warning does not include you. And I got a lot of you that follow me from Lafayette. Lafayette, this will probably stay just to your north. I don't see a real threat for you. Now Rock Spring, this is heading in your direction. Cooper Heights, it's heading your way. Chickamauga, you're not in the warning yet, but this is also heading in your direction. So heads up around Chickamauga, this is heading in your way. Rock Spring, down the road, heading your way too. And that's also going to head up. Some of this may also travel up towards the battlefield. So the south side of Fort O, possibly Ringgold again. You might get another severe storm in Ringgold here before time. So just some heads ups here as this moves from west to east. Again, that's if this storm were to hold together. And I'm telling you, it's a pretty nasty storm that has that potential for damaging winds. And I'm going to show you how tall this thunderstorm is. And this is running at about 50,000 feet. running about 45 to 50,000 feet. So that's very high. So the higher the cloud top on the storm, the higher it is, the stronger it is. That's really what that means. So that just tells you right here that this is a really nasty one here that's crossing from northeast Alabama into northwest Georgia here and staying south of the Tennessee state line. But again, Dade and Walker definitely heads up there for you guys as that moves from west to east. Again, the wind velocities on this are very impressive, especially for straight line wind, showing about some 60, 61, 62, 63. So again, at the ground surface, that does translate to 50 to 60. So this is right in the range of what a severe thunderstorm should look like, at least on that end. So also around Plum Nelly, this is heading your way. Cloudland Canyon heading your way as well. Looks like the worst of the wind may stay just south of New England, but it looks like the south side of Trenton's going to take this thing head on. And again, I'm checking to make sure we don't have any kind of, on storm weather, to make sure we don't have any kind of rotation. Not seeing that at least at this time. But again, definitely seeing a very strong wind signature here crossing Interstate 59 as we speak. And also, this is back built a little bit too. I want to point this out too as far as regards to flash flooding. This storm is also back built a little bit into Jackson County. So there is a possibility with this storm that you could have some localized flash flooding with it as well, considering just how much rain is falling. I mean, just by looking at the red and the purple you see on the map with this one storm, it's putting down a lot of rainfall. I mean, it's putting down a very large amount of it. And if it rains over a certain location for like an hour straight at that intensity, you're probably talking about a 2 to 3 inch per hour rainfall rate, which is pretty wild. So that's what I'm saying, you know, if you're in an area out here around in Dade County and even western Walker County that's kind of in a low-lying area, you definitely want to keep an eye on trends here, because not only do you have that risk for that severe thunderstorm, but you also have that risk for the possibility of some localized flooding in there as well. So I do want to point that out. So thanks to all of you who are tuning in here. Make sure you guys leave a reaction, a comment. Let me know what's going on in your neighborhood. Also, share this video out so we can also help spread the word and everything else. As I said, I've not heard of any kind of damage so far with any of this. That's good. Hopefully that trend continues. Hopefully we won't have any damage, but again, at the same time, just got to play it safe here and make sure that you're staying safe here. I'm also currently posting this warning information out real quick here to socials, so that way I can get at least the warning text out here. So that's also what I'm working on here behind the scenes. But again, that's what I'm seeing at this time. So again, the only areas that have a severe thunderstorm active are parts of Jackson, DeKalb counties. I'm talking about the far northeast extent of those counties. This is nowhere near Scottsboro. This is not impacting Fort Payne. This is only impacting Shiloh and Higdon. Those are the only areas in northeast Alabama even getting this as far as the severe thunderstorm is concerned. So if you're in the rest of the areas I did not mention, that I just mentioned, that are not in the warning, like Fort Payne and Scottsboro, you got some thunderstorms here near your vicinities, but those are not severe at this time. And again, this does not include Lafayette. This does not include Fort O. But again, Fort O, this is also heading your way. So just wanted to give y'all a heads up there too, that this is heading in your direction. So again, that's the situation we have there at this time. And let me put on the velocities here, see if we got any kind of velocity scan update. And yeah, winds are still pretty intense in here, unfortunately. So again, we're still seeing some 50 to 60 in here, indicated by the bright pink you see on the map. And again, that's crossing over I-59 as we speak here. So again, definitely not a good time to be on any highway here. Also, Highway 11 that runs through here. Also Highway 136 there that takes you up. Look out there up towards Cloudland Canyon, eventually down towards Lafayette. But again, this area right here you see moving into the Trenton area, it's getting pretty bumpy. So I will say there is a little bit, again, it has kind of refocused itself a little bit. There is a little bit of some broad rotation here around the Trenton area, and now I'm getting word that this warning has been changed to tornado possible. It's not a tornado warning, but this has been changed to tornado possible, and it's this little area that I'm seeing right here on the map. right over the gas community there, where that caution light there is on the mountain before you head down into Trenton. That little area just circled right there. There is a little bit of some broad rotation that's re-intensified up in here, moving down the mountain into the city of Trenton now. At the moment, I do want to stress this does not have a tornado in it. This is mostly, in my opinion, and still is, mainly damaging straight line wind. However, what can happen sometimes in these kind of situations is, sometimes with very little or no advance warning, you can get, especially if the wind gets intense enough in there, you can get a very brief little spin up that can sometimes happen along that leading edge. So we'll have to watch that carefully. There's the new velocity scan, and thankfully, as I said, it's very broad. The main thing is the damaging wind, and as I said, it's punching from west to east at about, at least the wind speed itself is at 50 to 60 miles an hour. The storm itself is moving east at about 20 to 30. But again, the main idea here, the main thing, are these very strong west to east winds getting ready to cross up Lookout and into parts of western Walker County here in a matter of minutes. So we'll do some querying here on the winds here just to show you what they're looking like. So about 50 to 60 showing up in here consistently around Stewarttown, 301, north of Rising Fawn here. So you got the sports complex and all that here on the south side of Trenton that's getting this right now. So heading up into downtown. So that's where the heaviest wind is in that area, and then that's going to move up the mountain into parts of Cloudland Canyon. So here's the Walker County line you see here to the right. There's the town of Plum Nelly. There's a Masseyville to the south, and then right up here is West Brow there, just south of Covenant. So, and that's actually where the warning cuts off, right there around Wildwood and Covenant. So the worst of this, at least the wind part, should stay just south of Wildwood and be more of an issue for, Hinkles down through Durham and 157 down that way. But again, at the same time here, if you're on Lookout Mountain here, especially in areas right along that Dade Walker County line, this is heading in your direction. So make sure you're away from windows, away from those outside walls and all that stuff. Just making sure you're in a good, safe area, at least until this passes. Again, I said you don't have to take tornado precautions, but again, it's something worth noting that you just want to be safe in this kind of situation here. So, again, this is the only, as I zoom out and show the big overview here, this is the only severe storm we have on the board right now. Real quick here, I want to point out we got another strong storm east of Cleveland here, moving up through Ocoee and Benton. Again, non-severe, but some heavy rain, some gusty winds. A lot of lightning with that as that moves northeast. So heads up for those of you in those areas. And again, also back out here, some more heavy rain north of Chattanooga here around Signal Mountain towards Hickson. And then here's the main front back here, and you can actually see a little bit of an outflow boundary here sticking out in here. Heavy storm about to go into Huntland with that front, and then up around McMinnville it's pouring. Some really heavy rain up in here extending into White County and also Putnam County. Non-severe up here, but again, there's the front back out here to the west. That's just moved through Manchester and Tullahoma, now approaching Winchester and Deckard. So there's the western extent of where the stormage is. Everywhere west of that, it's drying out. East of that is where all the storms are at the moment. Again, waiting on this new scan. As I said, I've not gotten any reports of any kind of major damage, so that's good. That's the good thing with this. Again, of course, if that were to change, of course, I will let you know that. But again, this area right in here, moving across Dade County, is where we have that potential for damaging wind. And again, I said the winds are still pretty strong in here, and I didn't mean to put that in a loop, but there we go right here. So here's some of the latest I could find. There's some 50 in there, some 54, 53, 54. So yeah, about 50 to 60 in here. So on average, again, 50 to 60. So that's a pretty good estimate. So that's why we have that warning in effect here for parts of the area here. So that's something I wanted to point out right away. Also, real quick, I forgot to mention this earlier. I keep forgetting to mention my YouTube channel here. I'm also broadcasting this live on my Chase Bryant Weather YouTube channel. So that's another way you can watch this as well. It was over there. And so that's just another outlet for to watch in addition to Facebook. So that's something to wanted to make a quick reminder of there. But at the moment, the only severe storm we have on the board at this time is the one in portions of Dade County, moving throughout Dade County, really. Now, Rising Fawn's on the southern end of this, so it's not as bad down there, and it's not as bad up around Wildwood, at least right now. But this heaviest storm here, this really severe storm here, is moving right across the county and moving up the mountain towards the Lookout Mountain area, and eventually, here's 193 that runs up and down the western end of the valley here, west of Chickamauga. So that's around Cooper Heights, Kensington area, up to almost Flintstone. So about Flintstone, Chattanooga Valley. That's the area that'll be heading in next after it crosses through Trenton and Lookout Mountain. So again, I'm all about giving some advance notices here, at least as far as heads ups are concerned. So there's your heads up there. Let's check and see how the wind mode looks. And thankfully, it has come down just a little. But we're still seeing some evidence here of at least some 50 to 55 and possibly some gusts upwards of 60 in here. And by the way, Jackson, DeKalb County, real quick, I know you still technically have that warning for another 7 minutes, but it's safe to say that the worst of this is east of you now. I know it's still pouring up in here, especially on the north side of Ider and heading up towards Higdon and Bryant, but as far as anything severe, that has moved totally across the state line and into Dade and western Walker County. So you're good out here. So Sand Mountain, y'all are good. It's on the Alabama side. Georgia side, still iffy there for at least another 10 minutes or so. But on the Alabama side, you're good. Still got some other heavy storms here right over Nickajack Lake in southern Marion County, moving up into Haletown. Also back to New Hope. But again, this is non-severe. And then, again, here's the front now approaching the northwest end of Grundy County. Now moving through Hillsboro, so good shape now there. Heavy downpour in Estill Springs, but you're about to be in the clear here in a matter of really a minute or two. And then over here to the east, here's this other strong storm also moving up across eastern Bradley through Polk County. Moving a lot right along 64 and 74 there through the Ocoee. Beautiful area out in here. So this is good. So not to the point of tree damage that this would be causing, but again, at the same time, definitely need to be aware of that possibility that there could be, again, some strong wind gusts, some very heavy rain, and of course that frequent lightning there with this, as well. So again, that's something that I'm keeping an eye on here very closely here. I've not heard of, I guess I said, I've not heard of any damage anywhere, thankfully, which is good. But again, I will say that it is something that we're going to have to keep an eye on here over the next little bit. Again, that's one, and here's the other severe storm across Dade County as well, moving from west to east. So again, Trenton's getting hammered pretty hard right now. And then from there, it's moving right up the top lookout here. So here's 189, Scenic Highway right here. And that's moving east towards Ascalon, Durham, Jamesburg, Hinkles. So West Brow, this is pretty much on top of you as we speak. So close to where the skydiving venue is, that's out here. That's where it's moving over now. And then after that, it'll be heading up towards Covenant. And then eventually, if it holds together, the northern edge of this storm might get up to about Rock City, but it looks like Flintstone and Chat Valley and points south will be the main area for this, and that'll extend down to Cooper Heights. And eventually, if that holds together, that will be in Chickamauga here within about 10 to 20 minutes. So heads up around Chickamauga, Rock Spring, and up to Fort O. This is all heading in your direction within the next 10 minutes or so. So make sure you guys are inside and away from windows here. Again, as I said, you don't have to take tornado precautions, and in fact, even though I know it says tornado possible on there, I'm no longer seeing any evidence of any kind of rotation or anything like that. I mean, for a moment, as it was just west of Trenton, it tried to get interesting there for a minute, but thankfully that gusted out fairly quickly. So, and as I said, the main thing all along is the potential for damaging wind, as you see here by the bright pink and red you see here on this radar. Again, the brighter the pink, the stronger the wind potential in that, as it moves right across Lookout Mountain. And there is also that possibility considering that this storm is going up and over Lookout Mountain, that it might actually, depending on the physics and all the dynamics and stuff in this, it could either weaken it as it moves down into the Walker County side of the valley, or it could strengthen it. So that'll be something to watch here over the next the next 10 minutes as it moves down the mountain here. So sometimes it can weaken it, that influence of the mountain, and sometimes it can also intensify it. So it just depends on all the, the dynamics, the physics, and everything about this as these thunderstorms, collide with these mountains here. So we'll have to watch and see what that does. But again, this is the only warning we got on the board at this time as of 8:12 Central, 9:12 Eastern on Saturday, August 1st. Hope all of you had a great Saturday. Things were looking pretty good in the severe weather department here the last few hours, up until about an hour and a half ago when we started getting these warnings in northwest Georgia here. So it's kind of ticked up a little bit within the last couple of hours here. Fairly scattered, so again, not everybody's gotten a warning. But those of you that have, especially around the Ringgold area, it's definitely been pretty, I can imagine it's probably been pretty rough because these thunderstorms definitely mean business, especially with all the heat we had, with the heat from today, the moisture we have in place. This is also dumping a lot of rain. And I can show you here real quick what the rainfall has looked like, and you can tell exactly where the heaviest rain has been today. I mean, right in here, right across Jackson County, the southeast half of Marion, into Dade, northern Walker, Catoosa, Bradley, Hamilton, into Polk County now, and earlier up north up in here in our northern areas like Coffee County, northern Franklin County, up through Cannon, Van Buren, points east into Bledsoe, northern Ray, points north from there. So, and then there's some areas right here in the middle, for example, like Winchester, even Belvedere, parts of Suwanee, parts of Tracy, and even parts of Cartwright that haven't gotten barely anything. And that's the nature of these storms in the summertime. There will be areas, depending on where boundaries and such form, where storms will favor. So that's really just been the case here today. It's just another one of those situations. But again, where there have been storms, they've been pretty intense, and this is no exception here. Again, we're still getting some very strong indications of some strong wind gusts here that could be 50 to 60 miles an hour here, moving right over Lookout Mountain. So the worst of the wind part is pretty much done with in Trenton, points west, down to Rising Fawn and up north towards Coal City and New Home. But from Lookout points east, down the mountain here to Highway 193 there up towards Flintstone and points south towards Cooper Heights, it's just getting into those areas now, basically. So again, remember this radar image is about 4 or 5 minutes old, so you can pretty much take the placement of this, add a few miles east to it, and that'll give you an idea here pretty much of where it is now. So you'll probably see that jump here within a matter of minutes, within a matter of a minute or two. Again, a good downpour around Haletown and up towards Bennett Lake, but that one's non-severe. Good shower there around Whitwell, but nothing big. You're probably hearing this thunderstorm in the Hickson area right here, but it's non-severe. There's a new radar scan as we speak. Pretty good storm south of Dunlap around Mowbray Mountain, but not severe there. Interesting thing to note, this line is actually starting to form together. I mean, if you notice, there was a few minutes ago, you saw there was a pretty big gap in here, but now it's starting to fill together. So we're starting to get more thunderstorms in here as this moves off from west to east. But as I look at the velocities on it, nothing impressive. That's the good thing. I mean, I think a lot of these storms to the east have taken out a lot of the energy from this to really get going. So it does look like, as long as current trends hold, this last line that gets through here tonight, here over the next few hours, this little broken line, it should come through fairly harmlessly. That's the goal here, of course. Hopefully it does that. But again, I'll keep an eye on that just to make sure, just in case that were to change. But again, winds looks like they've ramped up here again. As I said, probably that influence of Lookout Mountains probably helping to actually strengthen the wind field on this. as it's moving down the mountain as we speak towards the Chattanooga Valley, Flintstone area, north side of Chickamauga here, High Point up to Fairview. So right in here is right in here where the hand is, that's Battlefield Parkway. Ridgeland School's right here. The battlefield's over in here. So this is the area that's moving into next. And right here is Fort Oglethorpe. So that's going to be the area that gets this next. And we'll see if this warning gets extended here. It's getting close to expiration time, which is 13 minutes away at 9:30. So we will have to wait and see if, in fact, this does get extended. I've not heard if it will or not. I don't have access to, NWS chat or anything, but as far as I know, I've not heard of that, but I would imagine, especially if this continues to hold its strength, that there probably will be. And now we have a severe thunderstorm warning, speaking of which, for Hamilton and Bradley. So this is some new information. So let's see what this is about. Kind of surprising here, considering this storm is trending a little more east down to the south. So let me read you what this is about. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for Hamilton and Bradley counties for the next 40 minutes until 10 o'clock. And it's for this severe storm down in Flintstone. So right here. So that storm moving from Lookout into Flintstone is what's being warned on for Hamilton and Bradley until 10 o'clock. So until 10 o'clock, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for southwestern Bradley and most of Hamilton counties in East Tennessee until 10 p.m. At 9:17, about right now, a severe thunderstorm was located over Chattanooga Valley, or 9 miles southwest of Chattanooga, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. Hazard is a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust. It is radar indicated. Locations that are in the path of this include Chattanooga, Cleveland, Soddy Daisy, Lakeside, Ridgeside, South Cleveland, Harrison, East Ridge, Wildwood Lake, and Red Bank. Also, this would also include places like Ooltewah, Collegedale, Appleton, East Brainerd. And this also includes Interstate 75 in Tennessee between mile markers 1 and 22. So that's a severe thunderstorm warning for Bradley and Hamilton counties until 10 p.m. That's for this severe storm down in Dade and Walker that's moving to the east-northeast. Now, to me here, this kind of has a bit more of an east-northeast component to motion. So this will probably keep at least the northern half of this polygon away from the worst of this one down here that's moving out of Trenton. But again, especially the southern end of the warning, especially south of the river, heads up here. East Ridge, south side area, over towards East Brainerd, Appleton, even as far north as Collegedale, Ooltewah. Just a little heads up there for you guys that this storm has been classified as severe, is moving in your direction. And I'd imagine we'll probably get also an extension for northern Walker and into Catoosa here pretty soon too, considering that this is actually making a little bit more of a right turn as opposed to a northeast turn. So still got this one warning. Speaking of Walker here, we still got this one warning that remains in effect for Dade and Walker for another 10 minutes until 9:30. And then this severe thunderstorm warning in Hamilton and western Bradley expires here in about 40 minutes at 10 o'clock Eastern. So that's the situation with those. And let me check the wind field in that just to see what it's doing. And, well, there's the new warning just as I speak of it. So I'll get to that in just a second. But let me get you the wind speeds on these real quick. Again, about 50 to 60 mile an hour winds here showing up around the Flintstone area, Chattanooga Valley, down and moving towards Fairview. And then here is the road there this is Highway 27 here as you bypass the battlefield here. And there's the battlefield itself right here. So that's moving right into Fort O as we speak here. So right down Battlefield Parkway and, up McFarland Avenue into Rossville here. So that's the area where this heavy wind is. And when you see a bowing segment like this, where you got the winds here bowing, that's the indication along that leading edge where you can find those stronger winds as that moves from west to east here across, really along the Tennessee-Georgia line and just south here. So that's the trajectory of this. Again, these are the only warnings we have in place right now. So let me get you that new warning here that was just issued for Hamilton and Bradley. Not Hamilton and Bradley, but that was the one I was telling you earlier about. Let me get you the one that's in effect for parts of Catoosa and Walker. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for northwestern Catoosa, north central Walker, and northeastern Dade counties until 9:45. So again, northeast Dade, northern Walker, northwest Catoosa, 9:45. Hamilton, Bradley, 10 o'clock. At 9:19, a severe thunderstorm was located over Chattanooga Valley, or 10 miles northeast of Trenton. It's moving northeast at 35. Hazard is 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It is radar indicated. Locations that are in the path of this include Fort Oglethorpe, Rossville, Lookout Mountain, Chattanooga Valley, Fairview, Lakeview, Indian Springs, Graysville, Wildwood. So those of you in those areas are also in the path of that. So that was the information on the severe thunderstorm that was just issued for parts of Catoosa, Walker, and Dade counties until 9:45 Eastern, and then of course the one in Hamilton and Bradley until 10 o'clock Eastern. So multiple severe storms here, moving across really the southern half, at least, of the Chattanooga metro here. Potential for damaging winds, a lot of lightning, heavy rain. Storms are about 40 to 50,000 feet tall, so they're very efficient lightning producers. They're also producing a lot of heavy rain and all that stuff. So, and these storms are also riding along boundaries from the earlier storms. So these same areas have already had storms earlier, but now you're getting another round here as this is followed along a boundary, that's related to it. So again, basically the same areas that have been getting hit all along here now have another severe thunderstorm warning in effect. And this is actually, I think, Hamilton's first here, at least for the city of Chattanooga. So again, definitely some very serious thunderstorms here moving to the north and east. Again, the wind fields here, nothing really much has changed here. Still showing some 50s and 60s in here as far as wind gusts are concerned. Again, the brighter the color you see on the map, the stronger the wind potential. So this is moving, as I said, right over the Flintstone area, moving down towards Wallaceville, east to Fairview, up to Rossville here momentarily. Rock City's on the north side of this. And then here's the battlefield over here on the north side. And then here's Fort O right over in here. So there's Fort O, West Side Community, Midway, Cannon Crossing, Lakeview. So this is getting close to Lake Winnie. So this will be passing close to Lake Winnie here pretty soon. This right here is Hogan Road that goes up towards Rossville. This is McFarland Avenue that also goes up that way. And that's the area this is going over. And this is also going down some roads like Mission Ridge. So this is in the Mission Ridge area towards Warren Terrace. There's Fairview itself there along McFarland Avenue there. And that's going to take that east from there all the way up into the city of Fort O. And as far as Ringgold's concerned, it does look like the worst of this. I mean, you're definitely going to get very heavy rain, but I mean, the wind part, the really strong wind part, may stay more on the north side of Ringgold as opposed to earlier. So you'll get gusty wind, heavy rain, a lot of lightning. You might get a little bit of pea-sized hail as well there in Ringgold, but it does appear that at least the severe part of the storm is probably going to miss you just to the north. So that's some good news for you guys there, at least in the Ringgold area. But Fort O is definitely going to get the worst of this, and Chickamauga's getting it pretty good right now too. So again, these are the only warnings we got in the whole area. Point to do the quick overview. Here's that line of storms with the main cold front forming back out here to the west. So far it's behaving, but it's starting to kind of come together here as it moves from west to east. So definitely some heads ups here as you go over the plateau and eventually into the Squatchy Valley here. You got another round of storms moving in. And good thing is that's it. One and done. Once that last line gets through, you're good. But for other areas that are still experiencing these storms, again, for example, like Hamilton County, down into Walker, parts of Dade and Catoosa here, you still got a good ways to go. But the good thing here is once that front passes you here in about a couple of hours, that'll be it as far as anything severe is concerned, at least in your areas here. So again, if you have any reports or anything like that you want to share, again, of course, do that safely. But if you do have any kind of reports of what you're seeing here, feel free to let me know about that. Just so That way we can keep people updated, and that way anybody that's watching the live feed here can be able to see, what others have been experiencing or whatever not. So that way we can be able to get the word out and help put some ground truth to what radar season is. Great as radar is, as far as detecting where the heaviest, rainstorm activity is, it's really good to also have that ground truth as well, of course, when it's safe, because, that's what I'm saying. You got to have that ground truth. So if you have any reports or anything like that you want to send, feel free to post those in the comments of the live stream or any of the other posts or anything like that. But again, as said, this is the only one we got on the board, and I know we got the other strong storms to the east, and you got the main line out here to the west, but at least so far, we haven't had more warnings. They've been fairly isolated, kind of scattered, so that's been the good thing so far. Now let's check this new velocity update. Just got a new scan. Again, still showing some 50 to 60 in here, mainly in northern Walker County, so mainly along Battlefield Parkway, basically up to the state line and extending east towards the Fort O area. So definitely a heads up there that this is moving into your area as we speak. And in Rossville, this is moving in now. Lakeview, Lake Winnie area, this is on your doorstep here. Again, the winds will typically precede the rain, so you may hear the wind pick up before it even starts raining. But again, Red Bank, East Ridge also points east towards the Hamilton Place area, as well as Tyner, Harrison, Ooltewah, Collegedale, Appleton, East Brainerd. This is all heading in your direction too. And then also around Indian Springs down here, north and west of Ringgold, this is also heading your way. Also Cloud Springs Road up in the East Ridge, there along Mac Smith Road and other areas too. That's all moving from west to east there. And again, got another strong storm that's approaching Rocky Face, Tunnel Hill, and Dalton, but at the moment it is non-severe. Got some other storms also in DeKalb County, Alabama, but those are nothing of worry. Going to check out these out here to the west here real quick. Some strong storms, non-severe, extend from the Huntsville area up through Moores Mill into Huntland, Belvedere, just on the east side of Winchester towards Deckard, but again, you're pretty much on the backside of all this now. West of Pelham, got a good storm there moving into town. Again, Mont Eagle, Tracy City, got a heavy thunderstorm in your area, but it's non-severe. Again, Spencer, Sparta, some heavy rain and thunderstorm activity up here. Another good storm on the west side of Altamont there, moving towards Beersheba. So, and that extends all the way up into the upper Cumberland area. So, again, just wanted to make sure nobody was forgotten here on this western end. Granted that this line back here is much weaker, at least thankfully. It's still pretty heavy and producing those downpours and quite a bit of lightning and such. Another strong storm south of Cleveland, but not warned on at the moment. But again, let's check out here's a new look at the wind speeds, and now they've transitioned from northern Walker County into northwestern Catoosa, and now clipping the southern end of Hamilton County here. So Rossville's pretty much in the middle of it now, and where it says Noonan Springs right there, that is where Lake Winnie is, right there in the middle. So moving right over Lake Winnie and moving east and kind of east-northeast. So this is crossing and spilling over the state line into East Ridge. So again, East Ridge, this is over you now, right there along Ringgold Road. Heading towards Camp Jordan, down towards where the Food City is there on the state line, and then down towards also Cloud Springs Road. And that's the Indian Springs campgrounds and all that are in that area. And that's all heading towards Graysville. So, and by Graysville, Georgia, not Graysville, Tennessee. This is the Graysville and Catoosa County this is heading towards. So, heads up around there. Also up in the East Brainerd, up Ooltewah Ringgold Road into the Collegedale Ooltewah area, as well as east of Appleton here. Even in the Brainerd area as well. So these are the areas that do need to be on guard for the potential of severe weather here, because this is moving to the east-northeast. So even if you don't get a ton of rain, at least you'll get the wind and the lightning. But there's definitely going to be quite a bit of heaviness here to this storm as it moves from west to east. So
that is the situation there with that. Again, the lightning is pretty intense with it. So, I mean, you can see all the different bolts here on the screen, just showing you just how intense it is. And let me check and see the echo tops here. What it does appear like here, from the way it's looking, just based off what I've seen here on radar and such, it does appear that these thunderstorms are what's called collapsing. So as they collapse, they're sending out that very strong area of wind from up above and pushing it down and spreading it out. So that's how you're getting these really strong winds along the leading edge of these thunderstorm clusters here, like this one that you see over Fort O and moving up into Lake Winnie, Rossville, and eventually up in Eastridge here. That's going to be the area that gets that wind, and is what we call a downburst wind. So it's not a tornadic wind. I want to make that point clear. There's no indications of tornadic activity here. We've had some thunderstorms show weak rotation today in some areas that have developed, but none of them have gotten to the point where there's been anything real concerning from a tornadic scale out of those. They've been fairly weak, way up in the cloud base. I want to make that clear. There's not, at this very minute, there is not a true threat of a tornado here. The main threat with this are those strong, damaging wind gusts. That's it. However, it's still worth taking that seriously, because that can cause power outages, that can knock trees down, knock power lines down. I mean, a straight line wind is still nothing to play with, because they can be pretty strong. I mean, so that's why these severe thunderstorm warnings need to be taken seriously, because there's that possibility that those winds may get strong enough to where they can knock down some trees and lines and such as they move over, especially as they move over the most populous area in our entire area here locally, here in the tri-state. So that's something to make note of here for those of you really from the northwest side of Ringgold up through East Brainerd, East Ridge, up into parts of Ooltewah, Collegedale, Appleton here over the next little bit. Again, Fort O is really right in the middle of this now. So where you see the red and the pink and all that on here, that's where it indicates that heaviest rain. And where you see the pink, there might be some small hail as well, but hail's not really a big thing with this. This is mostly wind, torrential rain, and a lot of lightning. And again, the heavy wind is transitioned also up onto the Tennessee side as well, extending into the East Ridge area. So 50 to 60 mile an hour winds being indicated, crossing over Ringgold Road up towards the I-75-24 split up around Eastgate, and that's moving to the east-northeast. So if you look at the direction of where that's going, that's taking it pretty much right up Lee Highway here. So that's going to take it right up I-75, right up Brainerd Road and Lee Highway. So there's the airport. So it'll be interesting if this high area of wind goes right over the airport and see what they record out of that. But it's going to be a very close call for the airport. So we'll see if there's a sensor that can detect a wind gust and see what that looks like here. But that's going to move right up the interstate here, right up towards Hamilton Place. So heads up around Gun Barrel Road, Hamilton Place Mall, Tyner, Shepherd there where the airport is, up to Shallowford Road. This is heading your way next, at least the potential for damaging wind. And that extends all the way out towards Gun Barrel, also Jenkins Road, these areas out in here. A lot of these areas were hit very hard by that tornado back in 2020, but the good thing here, this is not that situation. This is a much different situation here. This is a 100% straight line wind situation as far as wind is concerned. That can, of course, knock down some trees and some power outages, but it's not tornadic. I want to make that point clear with that. So again, right around Brainerd, moving east-northeast from Brainerd and Eastridge, heading right up I-75, and that will take it up towards Ooltewah, towards Collegedale. Now I know those of you north of the river here, and the river's a pretty good dividing line here. North of the river around Red Bank and up into Hickson, Saudi, Lakeside, Signal, even downtown Chattanooga here south of the river. The worst of this is passing to your south and east. You don't have to worry about this. This is this severe storm. But at least the wind, as far as the main wind, that's staying south of you. I mean, I know you're technically in this warning, but if it was up to me, I would have already have taken you out of it as far as the warning's concerned. If it was my decision, it's not. But if it was, I would have shaved the warning probably to the river, because the worst of this is passing south of the river, and it's mainly for the airport down through East Ridge, up into Tyner, Hamilton Place, East Brainerd, Collegedale, Ooltewah, Appleton, and down into areas like that, and also into northwestern Catoosa County. So think Fort O, over to Cloud Springs Road, and points east from there. That's what I'm seeing with that. Also getting a lot of reports here. Looking to see if I can find anything regarding, at least as far as that's concerned. It looks like there was this is in Cumberland County. This is actually kind of breaking news here. Real quick here. There's a video that's come out from Cumberland County showing where there may have been a brief spin-up tornado with a thunderstorm that was in that area earlier that was not warned on. So far, according to meteorologist Mark Baldwin up there, he says there's no significant damage that he's heard of. It was on, from what we know right now, is on the ground for a short time and then dissipated, and damage seems to be confined to a very small area and weakened dramatically by the time it got to Crab Orchard again. That's Cumberland County, Tennessee. That's around Crossville. Reports just south of there, reports of earlier of what could be a brief tornado. Again, we won't know for sure until NWS does surveys tomorrow, but that's something I'd point out here, and that's the first time I've seen confirmation of that. So there supposedly has been some kind of weak spin up there in the Crossville area. I wanted to point it out from a storm earlier this evening, and there's been some video of it that's been released on social media of that. But again, as I said, we won't know till tomorrow until surveys are done to know for sure if that's what it indeed ended up it was. So just wanted to point that out there real quick because it came up through my messenger here as I was reading through some reports. So again, as far as I know, that's nothing major, at least as far as major damage or anything like that up there. But there probably was a touchdown area. But right now, at the moment, we don't have any of that locally, so that's good. We're still down to this one. We are down to these, we'll just say one to two severe thunderstorm warnings. And the good thing here is this Hamilton County side, I feel, has weakened a good bit over the last good little while. Winds are still very strong in here around East Brain, showing that potential for some straight line winds. But really, to be honest, this has come down in intensity quite a bit, at least in the last few frames. I mean, it's still showing some strong wind in that area, but nonetheless. But yeah, at least stay away from windows here around the Hamilton Place area up to Tyner, through East Brainerd, Ooltewah, Collegedale, Appleton, those areas here until this passes. And it does appear, as far as Harrison is concerned, I think this is going to stay just south, but it's going to be kind of close. So the heaviest wind may stay just to your south there, south of 58, but it's close enough to keep an eye on it. Now, I do believe the severe part of the wind has passed north of Catoosa County. Now, don't get me wrong, it's probably very gusty in here around Fort O and Ringgold, but as far as like the severe stuff, other than the very torrential rain and the lightning that you're getting yet again down here, at the moment I'm not seeing anything evidence, at least in Catoosa County, of anything major with that. Again, Walker County, you also got some heavy storms there too, with some gusty wind and some frequent lightning. Same thing south of Fort Payne there in DeKalb County. Also to the east here, not to forget about you guys out towards Ducktown and Turtletown and Farner. Some very heavy rain and some thunderstorms there, but non-severe. Storms are kind of split in Cleveland to the northwest and southeast. But you do got another one here that's coming up I-75 from Chattanooga here very shortly, within the next 20 to 30 minutes. So be aware of that. And here, my friends, is the main cold front, extending from the northwest tip of Jackson County through Franklin into Grundy, southeast Warren, Van Buren, White counties. There's the front. That's the official end of the thunderstorms here. Once you get behind that, that's it. So let's give some all clears while I'm at it here. Huntland, you're good. Belvedere, Winchester, Deckard. Viola, Morrisonville, College, Centertown, Rock Island, Smithville, Woodbury, Auburntown, Pocahontas, Liberty, help with time. It's going to take time for the thunderstorms to respond to the loss of that daytime heating. But I do believe as we go through the next couple of hours here at least, I think the severe threat's going to continue to decrease. Slowly but surely. So, considering we've now lost that daytime heating. But these storms are still thriving off some of that leftover energy and leftover heating we built up here during the afternoon. Which was the biggest question mark of today, was whether that would happen from after that first wave passed through this morning. The question was, how quick would it get out? In fact, it decided to clear out pretty quickly. So that allowed the temperatures and everything else to be able to warm fast enough and allow for these storms here to turn severe. It just took a little it just took a little more time for some of them at least to grow severe. And again, not everybody had a warning, at least a severe thunderstorm or anything like that. But again, those that did, pretty rough thunderstorms here with that potential for 50, 60 mile an hour winds. So we still have that currently in parts of southeastern Hamilton County. So extending from, we'll say, Gun Barrel and Jenkins Road up through Summit into Ooltewah and Collegedale now, moving east into Appleton, and eventually if that holds together, if it does, if it can, then it may make a run to Cleveland again. So I know you've already had, again, a lot of these areas have already had storms earlier, but again, it's like trains on a train track. They're going right up through the same areas, basically. So we'll have to watch in some of these areas, especially the typical low-line spots you see out in this part of, Catoosa County and up in the southern Hamilton here. We'll have to watch and see if that ends up leading to any sort of flash flooding, especially in this area of Catoosa County around Fordo and Ringgold, because they've already had so much rain, like upwards of 2 inches worth of rain here within the last hour or two, and that right there is enough to cause flash flooding. So that will be kind of the next thing to watch for here, at least in those areas, but I don't see that anywhere else at this time. So really, if there's any threat of flash flooding, at least at the moment, the only areas I'm seeing that right now are Catoosa County and the far southeastern Hamilton County. And that's really about it, at least from a flash flooding standpoint. And also, that's where the severe thunderstorm warnings are as well, extending up also into Bradley. So that'll be something to watch too. So let me check the wind speeds here on this line here from the west. And as you can see, not impressive. Thankfully, not impressive. I mean, maybe some 20s, maybe some 30s in here as far as wind gusts. But again, nothing big. Also got a new severe thunderstorm warning I want to point out here real quick. This is moving out of our area here, but I know I got some people that watch up here around that follow along from Madisonville up to Tellico Plains. You guys in Monroe County have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 10:30 for 60 mile an hour winds, and it does technically include a part of McMinn County around Liberty Hill, but the worst of this is mostly going to be Monroe County. So I think we could take McMinn out of that warning because it's well east of there. So this is mostly a Monroe County issue, and that'll move up into Blount County towards Maryville as well. So got any friends or anybody like that up that way, just make sure they're aware that they got a pretty nasty thunderstorm moving through Tellico Plains and moving up in that direction. But again, McMinn County, that's staying off to your east. Again, you're probably hearing the thunder from it around Athens and Etowah and Englewood, but the worst of that is staying to your east and out of your area and also staying out of our main area as well. Good news is that warning in Catoosa County has now been allowed to expire. So the severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for Catoosa has been allowed to expire. So no more warning there. However, you still got a very heavy thunderstorm, and a special weather statement, which is this blue polygon you see on the map, has been issued in replacement of the severe thunderstorm warning until 10:15 for Catoosa and northern Whitfield counties, for the possibility of wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour, of course, along with that potential for frequent lightning and very heavy rains. Again, as Ringgold is getting the worst of this right now, at least in Catoosa County, and that's moving east into Varnell and Cohutta and northern Whitfield. Then on the Tennessee side, up in Hamilton County, heavy rain, lightning, gusty wind, perhaps a little bit of small pea-sized hail, moving over Drake Forest, moving towards Ooltewah-Ringgold Road into Collegedale and Summit, as well as Ooltewah. Passing pretty close to Volkswagen there. Volkswagen's on the northwestern end of this, as well as Enterprise South. Again, the worst of this probably stays south of 58 and south of Harrison, but you're about to get some heavy rain and lightning momentarily. Appleton, this is pretty much moving into your neighborhood as we speak. Again, McDonald, this will be in your area within the next 5 minutes or so. And in Cleveland, this will probably move back up into Cleveland here within about 10 to 15 minutes. So, again, more thunderstorms heading into Bradley County from southeastern Hamilton County. Again, here's these heavy thunderstorms here from Madison County through northwestern Jackson through the central and eastern part of Franklin County. So, Cowan's getting a good storm right now. Pelham's getting a good one as well. Tracy City's gotten through with one. But the cold front's just to the west, so you'll get another one here soon. Van Buren County, a pretty good heavy thunderstorm in your area around Spencer and Fall Creek Falls, extending up to Bonaire Mountain, east to Sparta and White County. But again, this out here to the west is non-severe, but again, that's the cold front. So once that clears through your area, you'll be good. And then here's the other thunderstorms to speak of. Down in, here's Marshall County, Alabama, moving east into DeKalb County, Alabama. Another strong storm moving towards Fort Payne within the hour. Lafayette, you got a strong thunderstorm moving into your area, but at the moment it's non-severe. From Chickamauga up through Fort O, Rossville, into downtown Chattanooga, as well as East Ridge, Lookout Valley, Red Bank, even Hickson through a Signal and up to Saudi. Lightning, rain, but that's pretty much it for y'all. This severe storm is staying off to y'all's east. And again, looks like we got a fresh warning update on that warning that expires here in about 10 minutes for Hamilton and Bradley. So let me get some information on that for you. This is a severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 10 p.m. for southwestern Bradley and southeastern Hamilton. Again, this is the only warning we have on the board right now. So this is the only warning we have in the area at the moment. At 9:45, a severe thunderstorm was located near Harrison, or 9 miles east of Chattanooga. This is moving northeast at 35 miles an hour. Hazard is a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust. It is radar indicated. Locations that are in the path of that include Cleveland, South Cleveland, Wildwood Lake, Collegedale, Ooltewah, Waterville, and East Brainerd. This includes Interstate 75 in Tennessee between mile markers 4 and 23. So that's the update on that severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Hamilton County and into Bradley County. And again, that warning expires in exactly 10 minutes at 10 o'clock. It remains to be seen, and I'll check velocities here to see if it might get extended. I don't think it will based on this. As long as it doesn't, cycle back up again, I think we could probably just let this go right on time. So that's hopefully that trend continues for the next 10 minutes. So that's good. So if those warnings do expire, of course, then if this one warning does expire, then I'll be able to sign off here at 10 o'clock here in about 10 minutes, or if they drop the warning early. But again, while we're still on here, of course, with this warning still in effect here, I do want to point out, of course, again, the front's back here to the west. In fact, I'll draw it out, because the last image I saw from the WPC there, at least on the map on here, it's a little off to the west, from here. But again, this is pretty much the closest. The line I'm drawing here is about probably the closest depiction, at least of the current picture of where the front is, and you can see just ahead of those storms. The front is just behind these storms. So as you see, it's moving through pretty much Cookeville now, moving into Sparta. It's moving into McMinnville. It's moved out. It's pretty much moved out of Manchester and Tullahoma now, as well as Lynchburg, Fayetteville, Athens, Alabama. Basically, it's east of that line where all these thunderstorms are. And once you get behind this, it's not dramatically cooler at all. And that's the thing, unfortunately, given it's early August, we don't get where this is not a dramatic cold front. So we'll have to wait till October or November for that. But what this will do is this is going to usher in, and I want to mention the word very carefully, slightly lower humidity. Not as extreme as today. I mean, dew points were like in the upper 70s today, mid-upper 70s. Very humid. We'll take about 5 to 10 degrees, at least 5 to 10 lower on those dew points for Sunday. So it'll still be a little humid, but it's not going to be like today. So that's the good thing. And there may be, again, a spotty shower or two every now and then here or there on Sunday, but I don't expect anything big out of that. And really, for the upcoming week, no major change with that either. I mean, again, basically a typical first week of August forecast, some mix of sun and clouds, highs in the 80s to around 90, some spotty PM, showers and storms, basically the usual for August forecast. So really nothing big as far as severe weather is concerned for the first week of August. I'm not seeing that right now, so that's good. But at the moment, though, we still got this one warning that's still in effect locally. I know you see the other warning down in Blue Ridge, but again, if you know somebody in Blue Ridge, make sure they're where they do have a severe thunderstorm warning there for the next 36 minutes for up to 60 mile an hour winds. But as far as locally our area is concerned, we're still left with this one warning technically for another 7 minutes for southeastern Hamilton into Bradley County. So basically Ooltewah, Collegedale, Appleton, East Brainerd, up into Cleveland. Again, Harrison, you're on the north side of this, so I think y'all are in good shape. Hickson, nothing to worry about. Areas west of there, nothing to worry about. And with this is all moving to the north and east. So let's see if we got a new velocity scan yet. And the scan continues to trend weaker. So yes, this thunderstorm continues to trend weaker, at least on the wind end of things. So that's very encouraging. You see this thunderstorm has totally, you can tell in the wind mode, you can just see how it's collapsed. And when you get a storm that collapses, at first as it does that, that's when all that wind rushes out. And that's where you get the severe wind. But once that collapsing is finished, then the wind field decreases, and that therefore the severe threat decreases with this one storm. So that's what we're seeing here as that moves up I-75 and Highway 11 here from Ooltewah and Collegedale up towards the Cleveland area. And then down here across Walker and Catoosa, still got some very heavy thunderstorms, perhaps some pea-sized hail in here mixed in, but mostly heavy, very torrential rain, a lot of lightning, possibly some gusty winds, could be 40 miles an hour maybe up to 50 in a few areas. Again, that blue polygon you see right there in Catoosa and northern Whitfield counties, that's the special weather statement that runs for another 20 minutes until 10:15. It's not a severe thunderstorm warning, but it's an advisory basically that says, hey, there could be some strong wind gusts in there, but it's not at severe levels. And then here's the other severe storm that's moving away from us here, from Monroe County up into Blount County. From there, so again, Tellico's getting it pretty good right now, and that's about to move towards Madisonville and Von Orr, and eventually up towards Greenback and Maryville here within the hour. So, and that'll be heading up that way towards those areas. And then here's the line here's the broken line with the front. Again, it's just passed through Spencer now, moving over Fall Creek Falls. It's out of Sparta, moving up into Cumberland County, where there may have been a brief tornado earlier this evening from a thunderstorm that was in that area. It wasn't warned on, but there may have been a brief touchdown there somewhere south of Crossville and west of Crab Orchard, somewhere down in here. So again, we'll probably know tomorrow when the NWS goes out and does a survey, but determine what happened. But again, that area of southern Cumberland County, there's been some damage there, so at least some minor damage. But as far as extreme or anything like that, thankfully I haven't seen any reports of that. But again, some more thunderstorms moving into that area, into Cumberland County. But the good news is this last line is nothing worrying. So just some traditional heavy rain, lightning, a little bit of gusty wind, but nothing big with that. And that extends all the way down east of Spencer and Van Buren County down to 111, Fall Creek Falls. Again, Grundy County got a couple of little downpours in those, a couple of big downpours in those areas. Excuse me, there, northeast of Pelham and moving towards the Colmont, Altamont area into Grootley and Palmer, but non-severe there. Strong storms are moving from Cowan up into Swanee. Again, nothing severe, but some good soaking rains for you guys. Extends down to Keith Springs Mountain. Jackson County now starting to get in on this last line, moving across from Madison County into western Jackson County. So heads up around High Top and Skyline. It'll get y'all first. And then after that, it'll be Stevenson and Bridgeport down to Scottsboro. And then once that gets through Sand Mountain into northwest Georgia and the rest of southern Tennessee here, that'll be it as far as severe weather is concerned. So, not heard word yet if this warning is going to get extended or not, but at least for Hamilton and Bradley. But given that the wind fields have decreased quite a bit, don't think they will extend it, but I could see this at least being maybe extended like as a special weather statement because it is a fairly hefty thunderstorm. So we'll see what happens here in 2 minutes because that's when the warning expires. We'll see if they do what Peachtree City did down in Catoosa and Whitfield County and just extend it like as a special weather statement or something. But again, we're still holding on to that one warning for about 2 more minutes in southeastern Hamilton and Bradley County. Again, Appleton, Collegedale, Ooltewah getting the worst of this now. East Brainerd, Hamilton Place, y'all are on the back side of this now. It's out of East Ridge completely. It's out of downtown Chattanooga and most of the city proper. And up through Red Bank, Hickson, Soddy, pretty much over for you guys. Well off to your east and south. Rossville, Fort O, storms are off to your east. Again, you got more coming in from the west with this last wave. But nothing severe at this time. So that's a good thing there. Again, Lafayette's getting a good storm right now. Ringgold continues to get hit pretty hard with some torrential rain, lightning, gusty wind, maybe some pea-sized hail in some areas. Nothing large, though. And then from there, more heavy storms east of Cleveland, moving towards Ocoee and Benton. So really the same areas that got the severe storms earlier. This is the other wave that's moving into those areas. Again, Dalton, Chatsworth, more storms moving in your direction here within the next 30 minutes to an hour. And then after that, this last wave, once that pushes through, that's it as far as the storm threat and also the severe threat's concerned. So I say once this is through, that'll be all. Again, it looks like the warning has now just expired here as of 10 o'clock, so that polygon should go away. I'm going to wait and see just to make sure that no crazy change happens or new warnings put in place. As far as I know, I'm not seeing indications of one being issued there. But from what I see on the velocities and everything else, the wind fields have really decreased with this, and this is really mostly a torrential rain, frequent lightning producer with perhaps some gusty wind mixed in a little bit in here, but nothing to me that really screams severe. So, and there you go. Just as I was talking about there's the expiration of that warning. The 2 warnings you see out in Fannin County where Blue Ridge is, and up from Monroe County up into Blount County where Maryville is, those storms are moving away from us right here. So those severe storms are going to the northeast and away from here, heading towards Murphy. So I got a few followers in Murphy, so heads up there. But But again, as far as severe warnings in our immediate area, we don't have that at this time, so I don't plan on coming back live on here unless somehow we got a surprise tornado warning or something like that. I don't anticipate that. So the good thing here is going forward, I feel comfortable enough knowing and confident enough knowing that, hey, probably won't need to go live again, because any warnings that get issued forward, they should be fairly isolated if they do happen, at least from severe thunderstorm warning perspective. But I do believe as we get here through the next hour to 2 hours or so, things will start, hopefully, as we continue to lose that heating of the day, because now it's dark and nighttime. That should slowly get these storms more behaved here as we go forward here. So with that said, I appreciate y'all tuning in here. The good thing is the end is near. For those of you out towards Winchester, Tullahoma, Manchester, Spencer, McMinnville, you're done for the night. And here in the next couple of hours, as we get closer to midnight, I will eventually be able to say the same for everybody else. So stay tuned for updates here, and thank you all for tuning in.